That's it. I'm gonna change jobs. Full-time beatboxer. Hey, welcome back, my friend. So glad you are here. Hope you are having an epic day. For me, and the filming of this, it's Friday. Love me some Fridays. We are gonna have some Bob Ross Friday here in a little bit. And man, I will tell you, it's been a humbling week. You know, by the time this episode airs, I will have had my 42nd birthday. And this week I feel 42. And that's, hey, this, I'm middle-aged, man. Shoot. I am middle-aged, and it's hard for me to embrace limitation. It's hard for me to realize that I cannot train physically like I used to, and at the same time take care of my family, be faithful in my job, and produce the kind of creative, intellectual, philosophical, beautiful work that I want to make. And this week has brought that lesson home. But it's good. Like, it's good to have to wrestle with reality and accept that you are where you are. And I am doing that this week. But all that said, like, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, because, oh, we got hikers, cool. Pause. So yeah, it's good to wrestle, because in the wrestling we get better. So I hope wherever you are today, whether you're wrestling or not, I hope something great is going on in your day. Anyways, enough of that. At least for now. Today I want to talk about breath work. And yeah, I think breath work is kind of a buzzword. It's kind of it's become a thing that everybody wants to talk about, and I get it, because breath work, I mean, I'll tell you, in a lot of ways, breath work, I don't want to say breath work saved my life. But without breath work, I probably would not be as far along down the path as I am right now. And so breath work to me is not just a buzzword or a new agey thing. Like, breath work is, like, it's a necessity. I think for most of us, we forgot how to breathe. Like, I bet if I say it right now, you kind of go, oh, right, like, I need to breathe. I think some of that is because a lot of people, you know, for the last, I don't know, year, 4 years, I don't know, for however long, a lot of us are living with a low-grade level of anxiety that's unhealthy. I think a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of stress is good. It's a good thing. But I think most working-class people have been living with a level of anxiety that's keeping us from breathing the way we were made to breathe. And before I jump into some real practical, like, breathwork stuff, I'll tell you a story about how breathwork, intentional breathing exercises, techniques, made it possible for me to be doing what I'm doing. See, in August of 2021, I did get the COVID. It got me. And for about 6 days, I wrestled with it at home until about the 6th or 7th day, somewhere in there, I started having coughing fits. And coughing fits turned into coughing up blood. My wife came in super upset to see me coughing up blood. Started crying. She said, you gotta get to a hospital. And I really, you gotta understand, I am like my man Dwayne Knowles at Dry Creek Wrangler. I don't go to the doctor unless an arm has been severed. Like, it's gonna take that level of something. And apparently coughing up blood fits into that category. So I drove myself to a hospital, walked in, and the lady said, "Sir, do you think you have COVID?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I know I have COVID because I'd already done the test and I can't breathe." So they rushed me back and did all the things, plugged in all the wires. And for 6 days I stayed in the hospital, and it was pretty bad. You know, I would stand up just to take care of bodily necessities and my oxygen would plummet so bad. Some kind of souped up car racing off down that way. My oxygen plummeted so bad that nurses would rush in. "Mr. Hines, are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine. I just stood up." And on the 5th day, they let me go for a walk. And I went for a walk, and I couldn't make it 4 or 5 steps before I would be just, you know, like that. And so they sent me home, finally all healed up. I think it was like the 6th day. Went home with oxygen. And, you know, before I left the hospital, I asked the nurse, I was like, "Look, nurse, come on. Couldn't I have made it at home? Did I really have to come to the hospital?" And she said, "Yeah, you did, because if you hadn't, we would have come in an ambulance to get you." Because they did the CAT scan on my lungs, and she said it looked like my lungs had been filled with handfuls of shattered glass, and that I wasn't gonna make it if I hadn't gone into the hospital when I did. So I got out, did the oxygen thing, puttered around the house for a little bit, tried to get back to normal, and thankfully, the boss I was working for at the time had taught me some breath work stuff. And I knew my lungs were in pretty bad shape, so I made it a point every single day to sit down in my Jesus space for my morning meditation, and I would intentionally incorporate some of the breath work exercises that I'm gonna show you today so that I could hopefully repair my lungs and get back to a state of physical activity that I used to enjoy. So, for me, breath work is not a thing that I do because I'm buying into all the other, whatever you want to label it. Breath work for me is a way to make sure that my lungs, my body, and my being stay as healthy as they can. And it's more than just physical. Like, breath work it's a mental thing. Like, you want to de-stress? Do breath work. You get into a stressful situation and you find yourself short of breath and really agitated, it's probably a good idea to do some breath work, because it can be a long process, it can be a really short process. You know, my teachers, you have conflict with a student, kid pops off at the mouth, surprise. It's probably good to do a little bit of breath work before you re-engage with that student. So that's what I want to do. I want to show you 3 of my favorite breathwork techniques. How to do them, walk you through it, and then wrap this whole deal up. So what I want to do is rank these in order of techniques that I use pretty regularly at the end and techniques that I don't use quite as often. That said, I use all of these, just to varying degrees, right? And I also want to talk about, like, the practical little bitty things. How do you set yourself up to do these things? Now, if you, let's say, are a teacher and you have conflict with a student, no, I'm not going to say that you need to lay down in your classroom, turn the lights off, and do some breathing exercises. That's not practical. However, if you want to implement these in your everyday life and you have some dedicated time for meditation or self-care or journaling, which you should have all the time, then this is the ideal setup. That said, if you're in the classroom, kid cusses you out, leaves the classroom, you're there, yeah, take a few seconds, stand there and do some breathing exercises. That would be good. That said, let's assume you're in the morning. What do you do? Breathing exercises, breath work is always best done either seated or lying down. Now, I will tell you, seated if you want to stay awake, lying down if you fully intend to fall asleep. Because these things will help you do that. Often, especially if you're tired. But they're good ways to just de-escalate, not deregulate, that would be bad. De-escalate your own internal world, right? So be seated. You don't have to do the whole, whatever. You don't need to do that. That's not necessary. I'm not making fun of people who do. Just saying it's not required. And so you find a comfortable place to sit, get seated, and pick a technique and put it to work. You can do these for as often or as little, you can do these for as long or as short as you want to. I personally like 2 to 3 minutes of breath work every day. It's sustainable, it's doable. I don't have to block out whole chunks of time. If I want to do breath work for longer, I'll do breath work for longer. All that said, the first technique that I want to show you is called 5 senses. And I love this technique. If you work with kids, this technique is exceptional for getting a kid to de-escalate their interior frustration, right? So you get a kid, they're freaking out, they're missing mom, their best friend punched them in the face, whatever the thing may be. 5 senses is a great way to help your kid get back to normal. And it's really simple. You just take a deep breath in and let it out. And as you're letting it out, you identify, what is something I see? I see this green plant. It has small little bit of green leaves, small stems, and it looks like it probably is relatively young. Now, what will happen is you'll want to go brief and nondescript. You'll want to say something like, I see trees. That's good, great. The more descriptive you can be, the more it works for getting you out of that fight or flight state, getting you out of your amygdala, and getting you into your prefrontal cortex. Then you take another deep breath. What is something I hear? I hear the 85th car driving by. Take a deep breath. What is something I smell? I smell the cleanness of nature. It smells like trees and decomposing leaves and peace. You take another deep breath. And these last two are the ones that typically get a little weird. So what do you taste? Right? I taste coffee. I taste some of my other morning rituals. And I taste the mouthwash that I make myself that I use in the mornings. Deep breath in. And then this one you have to be real specific with your words. What is something I feel? We're not talking about feelings. That's not what we're trying to do. We're talking about that tactile sense of touch. So I feel the roughness of these tree branches, right? That's what I feel. I feel my beard scraggly. No, not really. It's actually well groomed today. That's 5 senses. Deep breath in. Walk through each of your 5 senses. Deep breath out. Super simple. I usually, when I'm working with somebody else and we're talking about breath work, I will usually recommend this as a method for helping you to sleep. Let's say your work day was hard, you got a crap ton of stuff you got to do tomorrow, you got school, you're studying, you're freaking out because you got to see that teacher that you despise and your brain has gotten on the hamster wheel of that thought. 5 senses is a great way to get out of that thought pattern and into a state that's more conducive for sleeping. So that's the first one. 5 senses. Do that. I promise you it will help you fall asleep if nothing else. The second one, I learned from Andrew Huberman. You've heard me talk about him on this show a lot. Guy's just great. But he has a breathwork technique called the physiological sigh. And I've tried to get my students to use this. And if you're one of my students and you're watching this, but I'm trying to get my students to use this and they get all like, nah, I'm too cool for that. But it's really simple. It's 2 breaths in and a long exhale. Give that a try. 2 breaths in and a long exhale out. Pause the video, do that a couple of times. Here's a good way to test to see if this actually works. Think about conflict that you've had recently. Maybe it was with a boss, maybe it was with a spouse, maybe it was with a kid, one of your own or one you teach, or both. But think about something that really stressed you out and feel your heart rate escalate. And then do the physiological sigh. Do it 3 or 4 times and watch the state of your heart rate come back down. It is a great way to get out of a frustrated state. Physiological sigh. The other cool thing that I learned from Andrew Huberman is if you're a runner and you are in a place where you've been running for a while and you get that real common side stitch, that part of you that's like, oh, that sucks and it hurts. I don't understand the science. That's an Andrew Huberman thing. But if the side stitch is on the right side of your body, the physiological sigh will make it stop. And I have tested it and it works. Guaranteed. That's a side note. But for everybody else, if you're not a runner, give it a try. Now, the last breathwork technique I want to talk about is called box breathing. And this is the technique I use every single morning as part of my prayer meditation practice. It is the technique that I used when I got out of the hospital with COVID. And I believe it is the technique that helped me restore and repair my lungs. Box breathing is super simple and it is scalable. Meaning if you're brand new to breathwork, you've never done anything, you can start real small. And if you've been doing breathwork for a while, you can scale it as high and as far up as you want to go. So it goes like this. You breathe in for however many seconds you think is appropriate. You hold it for the same number of seconds. Breathe out, same. Hold, empty, same. So if you're brand new to breathwork, you've never done anything like this before, you might start with 2 to 3 seconds. You breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. That simple. I personally, right now, I think I'm in like 7 to 10 seconds, depending on where I'm at for the day, how much anxiety I'm trying to work through, because there's some of that going on right now. And so right now the average I think is like 7 seconds. So you want to try and do this with me, we'll give it a try. Real simple, kind of just clear, deep breath in, clear it out, and then breathe in. Breathe out. Hold. Wow, I messed that whole deal up. Shoot. We'll try again. Let's do that again. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. It's that simple. I'll do anywhere from 3 to 10 rounds of that, depending on how much time I have in my practice in the morning. I did it this morning. I think I did close to 10 rounds. It helped me get back to a state of less anxiousness as I work through some of my own crap. But repeat that, put it on loop, go back in the video and do that again. I really think box breathing is probably one of the best practices that I've engaged in terms of just centering my mind in the morning and as preparation for meditation and prayer. I usually do that before I do anything else. And I found it to be really helpful. And I'm waiting on this car to pass by. So there you go. 3 free, easy to use, anywhere, anytime practices that you can use to better improve your state of mind. That's really the whole point of breath work. It is to improve your state of being. If you find yourself to be regularly anxious, regularly stressed out, regularly worried about something, it's probably a good idea to incorporate some breath work into your life. Because what it does is, because there's a counting mechanism typically in all of these, it takes your mind off of all the other things that are causing you anxiety or stress and puts you into a very present state of mind. That is a good way to be. present in the current state. That's all I've got for you today. I hope you like the studio. I think I'm gonna make this place, I come out here and it just refreshes my soul. I'm probably, until I build my own studio, if that ever happens, which would be awesome, I'm gonna do videos out here because I feel good when I come out here, and that's a great way to end the week, and it's a great way to make content, to be in a place where you feel at home and feel at peace. So, hope you have a great rest of your day. Make sure and like, subscribe, help me grow this thing so that more people can be helped, more people can find the path that is for them, and hopefully these videos help you do that. Until next time, keep climbing.